Why is anarchy without adjectives broken, and how can we go about fixing it? I'd like to start off by saying anarchy without adjectives was originally, did not include anarcho-capitalism. It wasn't invented yet, and for a very good reason. Anarchism was, as we all know, originally an anti-capitalist movement. Now, that's not necessarily to say anarcho-capitalism isn't real anarchy. Anyway, where was I? The point is, anarchy without adjectives originally united individualists, mutualists, syndicalists, communists, and collectivists. I think there might be more in there, I just don't remember. And was obviously a very anti-capitalist as well as anti-state movement. Recently, as we all know, voluntarists or anarcho-capitalists have sort of seeped their way into this anarchy without adjectives. And this doesn't seem too problematic. I mean, people should be able to choose their economic system, right? Well, of course, but does anarchy without adjectives, that when it includes capitalism, truly allow people to do that? The answer is no. Well, at least in the form many of you talk about it in. Mostly because it starts off as anarcho-capitalism by default. You're pretty much equating anarchy without adjectives to anarcho-capitalism, which is definitely not. So the question is, if we take anarcho-capitalism out of the mix, how can people still, just in a just way, be able to choose their economic system in an anarchic system, assuming it's not anarcho-capitalism? Well, pretty simply, a lot of you say in leftist societies it's oppression because you can't go ahead and start a business. You can't say, oh, if you work for me, I'll give you $5. Oh, what a good idea. The answer is, of course you can. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be easy due to the lack of currency, and if you really could manage to build a factory or some sort of means of production all by yourself, and you could get people to work for you in exchange for something more than their surplus value, this and that, then I guess you could. I mean, I suppose it's possible. It would just be very hard to do. It would probably be more of a co-op, which is perfectly allowed in the original AWA, what I'm speaking of, by the way. Because, unfortunately, in anarcho-capitalism, as someone pointed out to me recently, and this is what originally made me change, it's not necessarily voluntary to work for someone, as you can only choose to work within this range of exploitation. You can choose who oppresses you. Oppression isn't the best word. You can choose who exploits you. You can't choose not to be exploited. You can't choose self-management. But why don't you just go start a commune and stop oppressing me? Well, I'm afraid it's not quite that simple. In order to get the funds to start something such as a commune, this would take submission to the exploitation in the first place. You would have to be able to buy land, which, as many of you shouldn't be surprised to hear, land is almost monopolized in itself. You would have to rent for your commune. Yet in this leftist anarchy without adjectives, you still can run a business. It would just be hard. And people always have the option of self-management, being able to reap the full fruits of their labor, all that leftist jargon. So, long story short, if we drop the capitalism out of anarchism without adjectives, we have a society that is free by default. If you wish to work for a business, you still can. It just wouldn't be exactly easy to start. Yet with anarcho-capitalism, yet with anarchy without adjectives in its modern form, you really have no choice but to submit to capitalism in the first place. And this is why so many of us so adamantly oppose it. So, in short, left anarchy without adjectives is the truest form of anarchy, as anarchy without adjectives in its modern form basically forces you to submit to this sort of exploitation in order to even get out of it in the first place. While left anarchy, you can still start a business, which is exploitation. It just wouldn't necessarily be easy, and it would take a lot more hard work than it would in a default capitalist system. So, anarchy without adjectives, not including capitalism, is a lot better, because capitalism is just a really sucky adjective.